Hey guys, it's Mario here from thewoodfather.com. Today there's no project. I'm going to do a shop tour for the first time. I haven't done one of these before. I've had a few people ask just to sort of show what sort of tools I work with and why I work the way I work. So I thought it might be interesting just to go through to make it a little bit more interesting, because I've had a few people comment and say, oh, you've got a workshop full of tools, which I don't think I do. But it might be fun just to go through and add up each tool as I go along and then find out what sort of the value of the workshop is. Maybe I'll figure out if I actually need insurance in here or not. It'll be a quick one, so let's get to it. So the space is about, I think it's just over 3 meters wide, maybe 10 meters long, give or take. In Imperial, that is, I don't know. And it's a pretty cool space to work in. I renovated it maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, I think. There's photos and a couple of short videos on my channel if you're interested. But it used to just be sort of, there's one sheet of metal was the wall, and then metal bars for the frame sort of thing. So I went through and decked it all out with wood, put plaster up against it. I did the walls and painted them and everything, but I never got around to doing the ceiling because I don't touch it. I don't care about it really. You can see at the back there how the cupboards are level, but the top of the ceiling isn't level. I probably should have fixed that up, but just never got around to it. It doesn't bother me. One day I'll do something about it. It's a pretty cool space to work in though, so let's have a look. So once you come in through the main door, it's a workshop, but it's still mainly for storage. So I've got a poker table hanging on the wall, which I built 8 years ago. Don't think it's been used in the last 4 years, so I probably should do something about that. Up above, I've got a rack that I made just out of offcuts from framing out the garage. And that's just been really handy for the chairs to go up there. But since I don't use the poker table anymore, I don't really use the chairs. I've also got an arcade machine. This is, I think, the 4th one that I've built. This one's been sitting here for about 3 or 4 years as well. It was sold to 3 different people, 3 mates of mine, and all 3 of them, their wives said no. So it's just been sitting here. So I think I'm going to fix it up, and I might just keep it for myself. I might just sort of make it a little bit more slimline, but they're very good fun. Oh, here we go. We can start adding up some prices. This lathe I bought second hand, cost me $100 online. I use it every now and again. It's not that great, so I don't use it all that often. It doesn't have a chuck on it or jaws or anything like that, just the points, so I don't use it all that much. But that was $100. There we go, starting off well. Over here, these drawers are all second hand. They got ripped out of a renovation from somewhere, so I just pinched them all. They're just in here temporarily. I've got to build this up properly, but I needed to have some drawer space. So they're just filled up with all different crap. These are pretty much my clamps. This is what I have. I normally buy 4 of them when they're on sale for $20 each. And I think I've probably got about 16 of them, something like that. For everything that I do, I find them really, really handy and really helpful. So I'll keep sticking with them. In here is just some crap. You can see I'm not overly neat and clean in here. The Craig jig normally lives in here as well. So that's another, I think, $80. I bought a second-hand one online. Bought this from Masters, a hardware store that's not around anymore. I think it was $100, and then I had a 20% discount, so it only cost me $80. I was quite happy with that. Over here we've got my router table. This is one of the first things I built a few years ago. It predates the garage, so that's why it's on casters as well, so I could take it outside and make a mess out there. I think I've gone through about 4 routers on it because I buy the cheapest router you can get, basically. But the lift is made from the woodgears.ca design, and I put it all together the first time. It worked perfectly, and I've never taken it apart since. The gears are made out of MDF. Actually, I think the whole thing is pretty much made from MDF. It's been sitting there for 4 years, been working really, really well for me, so quite happy with that. I'm probably going to build a router table insert for my table saw shortly. So when I do that, I'm going to do the same thing that I did here, and have the inlay be a flat circle. So underneath here, this used to be a perfect circle as well, but I think with this router, I couldn't take the handles off, so I had to hack this out. But this was a perfect circle. This would come over, slide on, and that was it. And I had 4 or 5 of these, so for different size bits for the router, I could just go and switch them out. That worked out perfectly. Much better, well, I had absolutely no need to go and buy an inlay plate, so that was really good. And the fence is the same one that Steve makes in his video, so very handy, very helpful fence. Maybe over there a little bit. But the router in here was $70. It's just a cheapo knockoff brand, nothing special about it whatsoever. Most of these stores have just, most of these drawers have just got pretty much junk in them. A lot of, like hot glue guns, all that sort of crap. There's nothing too special in them. This one here's got the router bits, and I think all of these came from one kit, all of them came from another kit, and then I might have paid extra for that one there. Yeah, I wouldn't have $100 in router bits. So coming further along, you can see I'm starting to stack up some crap over here now. But that table there is my old workbench. We've got those thick metal legs on it, you know, that's solid as, yeah? And this is the workbench that we just replaced it. So it's a lot better to work with here, much more fun. So over here behind the arcade is where I store my timber. The majority of it that you can see here is sort of click together laminate flooring. And that's basically, it came out of that same renovation where all those drawers were. So I've already done half the house in them. And I'm going to redo probably my son's room as well. Just get rid of the carpet and put this flooring in. It's just much nicer than the carpet that I've got, and it's pretty much brand new. They put it down and then decided they didn't like it, so ripped it up again. So someone else paid for my house to be refloored. Quite happy about that. And on top of it, my brother-in-law's a builder, so he builds a few decks and well, that sort of thing. So basically whenever he uses nice wood, I make sure I pinch the offcuts from him. So there's a lot of just spotted gum, redwood, Merbo, all that sort of stuff. Okay. So this belt and disc sander, we can add $130, I think, to the cost of tools here. This was tipped off to me from Aldi, like a discount supermarket store over here. They have these crazy specials each week on different things. And Paul from the Wood Night saw it. So I think he might have pinged me on Twitter or something and said to check it out. So I went down and bought one straight away off of his recommendation. Taurus Titanium, I can't remember what brand it is, but it's basically a good brand, just painted red and put it with a different label on it. So yeah, that's worked out really well. This is my little scroll saw. This is one of the first tools that I bought. You can see the little frame I made for it to match the router table, just because I made it at a similar sort of time. And it's a really cool little tool. I don't use it all that often now, but it's always good fun to play with. It cost me $150 a few years ago. Nothing too special, but it works for me and for how I use it. So all these cupboards at the back here, the bottom and the top, I made them pretty much at the same time. They're just made out of construction timber, which I went and resawed. And I think I pocket holed them all together. They went together really, really well, really quickly. And the entire back, I think the entire top cost me $90, and the one down the bottom, which was made up mostly of offcuts, cost me maybe 20 or 30 bucks. So that was really cool. I really like these cupboards. They've been working for me since I built the garage. I probably could have done the doors a little bit nicer. They're just MDF, but I've got to redo cupboards all down the side of the garage, so I'm going to use this same style. So you might see a video of how to make them soon enough. They're not attractive, I know that, but they're cheap, very cheap. I like cheap. Over here is my very neat storage of paint and all that sort of crap. Once again, I buy the cheapest that I can find, and that's what I use. Unless I have a really bad experience, I'll just keep on using the cheap ones. And I also tend to buy the pre-tinted stuff that someone else has bought and they didn't like the colour, just because you get it so much cheaper. This dusty old tool is my Bosch Jigsaw. This thing, PST 800 PEL. No idea what that means or anything like that, but that's the model, and it is an absolute beast. The blade, I've still got the original blade on. I've been using it for quite a few years, but it's one of the ones where you can just pick it up. You don't have to drill a pilot hole. You just start it up like that, and it just digs right through the material and goes straight down. It's so much fun to use. I don't get to use it all that often anymore, but well, if I was ever going to recommend a tool, that's the one. It's just great fun to use. These chisels here came from Aldi, the same place that the sander came from. Once again, they were just a good deal that, actually, yeah, Paul, the Wood Knight, tipped me off to them again, so thanks, Paul. I've used them a few times. They're pretty nice. These are the other chisels that I've had for a long time, and I've beaten them up a fair bit, so I've really got to learn how to sharpen. That's one of the big plans for the next 12 months, is to learn how to sharpen and take care of tools like that. These were the cheapest chisels that I could find for the lathe when I bought that lathe off online a few years ago. They're nothing. They're like 10 bucks for the whole thing. They're pretty crap. Cheapo, extremely cheapo, but has proven to be a pretty cool and handy little tool, even though I've never sharpened it or anything like that. Cheapo again. This cheapo impact driver from Rosito has been, it basically built the entire garage. So that's a great, I'm going to say $70 well spent. That's really worked out well. Then I've got this Bosch drill. This is my main hand drill that I use all the time. So I bought this because I've got a jigsaw made by Bosch, which I really like. So it's the first time I was ever sort of brand loyal. And it's been really good. It cost me, this was actually a bit more expensive. It was about 300, I think. Came with 2 batteries, that sort of thing. And it seems to be working really well. I probably need to replace the batteries now, but that's been a good 5 years that I've had it. So up here, the router's not mine. I borrowed that to do the slab. This little hand plane cost me maybe $30 or $40, or a little power plane. I don't use it all that often. This Ryobi Orbital sander, I use this quite a lot. I really like it, and I can't really remember how much it cost me, but it's got to be at least 120. It'll be around that. Belt sander up there, once again it's a Zito. That's just the cheapo knockoff brand. That's another, I'll check it, maybe $70 or $80. I've had that for quite a few years. A little palm sander, which doesn't work anymore, probably should get rid of. Grinder, what else do we have? So as you can see, I really like a Zito because they're so cheap. This one, I bought this circular saw, I'm going to say 9 years ago, I think, and it only cost me about $50. Been using it ever since. I don't think I've even changed the blade in it, which is probably not a good thing, but it's certainly gone through a bit of wood for me. And another Zito tool, this is just a little trim router that I've had for a very long time as well. And that's another, that was nothing, that was like 40 bucks, I think. So you can see I like the cheap stuff. So out of all the tools in the shop, the table saw is probably my favorite. Just because I was so excited to get it. I had to save up for it, I had to wait until it was on sale and all that sort of stuff, because I didn't want to spend, you know, all this much money on a hobby, basically. So this is probably my favorite tool, and pretty much every project that I go through at some stage, I come over to the table saw and use it. The table saw, I've got a whole video on it, reviewing it from when I bought it a few years ago. It cost me, I could be wrong, I'm going to say 900, and then I'll go back and check that video and see exactly what I paid. I think the price is up to about 1200 on it now for the exact same model, so probably a good thing I bought it back then. One thing I have done, I won't open it up, but I just framed off the bottom of the table saw, just so all the dust inside can get stuck on this shelf here. When I pull that out, I can just empty that into a bucket and we're all done. So previously it used to just fall on the floor because it wasn't, it's not hooked up to a dust collector. One day I'll get a dust collector. If you want to send me $1,000, I'll go buy one right now. And that is pretty much my entire workshop. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. Probably was, I guess. Oh well, I'm not watching it, so I don't really care. So there you go, I've tried to keep it brief. Hopefully that didn't drag on for too long. As you can see, my workshop is 90% scrap wood, just lying around everywhere. And then the rest is just dust. I do need dust collection in here, I know that, so don't bother telling me in any comments. It's on the cards, one day it'll happen. Same as I need a thickness planer, a bandsaw, although I'm finally going to start my bandsaw build based on a Wood Gears design. So that'll be cool, coming up shortly. And yeah, there's probably lots of other tools that I need as well, but what are you going to do? So I started the WoodFather.com a few years ago just for a bit of fun, basically, and that's precisely what it's turned into. It's just a bit of fun. It's great. It's an escape. I get to come outside, do my own thing for a little bit, then I get to go play on the computer, do some editing, I get to build a website, get to write a couple of programs. Yeah, it's just good fun. So to everyone who's supported me over the years, everyone who's bought something from me, everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's shared my videos and all that sort of stuff, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's fun. That's about it. Hopefully as time goes on, the projects get better and the skill level goes up. That's the aim for the next 12 months, to really improve what I do. So I'll probably start working more with hand tools, more, well, real wood instead of MDF and plywood, which is what I use a lot of the time now. Yeah, and I'll just try and get better as I go along. So the one thing that I've always been very open with is I'm very green. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just having a bit of fun. So don't come to me if you want to learn beautiful, fantastic skills. It's just for a bit of entertainment if you're bored for a couple of minutes. That's about it. So I'll see you in a few weeks with another project video, and all the best. Catch ya.